Hello and yes, welcome back to my end of the year TV series, TV seasons, TV show rankings, whatever you want to call it. So this ranking here is for TV shows that come out this year. So, for example, there are some things which are going to be on their second season, so it'll be specifically aimed at the 7th or 2nd or whatever number season they're on. For example, Walking Dead has had its 11th season this year, or part of it, so it'll be the end of season 10 and the first part of season 11, because that's what come out in 2021. It'll be me looking specifically at those episodes released in 2021, not the show overall as a whole. So yeah, also, you know, there's a couple shows I haven't seen this year that I really did want to get around to watching in time for this, but I just didn't. I've seen 21 shows this year. And yeah, I also haven't included things like there was a new season of Tiger King, there was a new season of The World According to Jeff Goldblum, there was the 3-part miniseries documentary Get Back by Peter Jackson. I haven't included none of that. This is just like dramas and stuff, you know, the actual, you know, acted TV shows that I've watched. Some animated, doesn't matter if it's animated or live action, but yeah, so I've got 21 shows here that I watched. And yeah, just at the end of the day, guys, this is my opinion. It's not fact, it is what it is. But we're going to crack on. So, do the usual, scooch over. So, there we go. We could see the movie posters, or the TV show posters in this case. So, my least favourite show that I watched in 2021 was Jupiter's Legacy. Yes. This was a superhero show that went straight to Netflix, and I was excited because I like my superheroes. The trailers looked cool. I liked the cast. I was a little bit worried because it was Netflix. Netflix don't like to put the biggest of budgets into some things. And yeah, this film here, it seems like they blew their budget all on the first episode. There was an awesome fight scene at the end of the first episode, which I'll admit to really enjoying, where it was like they were fighting some guy who sort of looked like Darkseid, and it was really cool. But then after that, the show just lost all its money, it seems. The show went at a really flat pace. The characters were not that interesting. The side plots were terrible. And it was just all round a really boring show that was trying really hard to be unique. Jupiter's Legacy was not a good show. I'm not surprised it got cancelled. Next up is the second and final season of The Walking Dead World Beyond. Yeah, this show was terrible. It was a slight improvement over the first season, but this series was still really bad. I know that people are going to be asking why I bother watching it when I hated the first season. I think it's just because I knew it was going to end with season 2, and I'm so up to date on the main Walking Dead show. I wanted to stay up to date on this as well. I've also watched most of Fear. I haven't included Fear because the first half of Series 7 come out this year, and I haven't watched that yet. So I haven't included Fear today, but so I'm so up to date on this universe, that's why I watched it. And yeah, it was terrible. The characters are just so flat and boring. None of their chemistry works. None of the plot, the plot in this show and the side plots, none of them are that interesting. Yeah, I just don't like this show. There's just nothing tense about it, nothing scary. The action's boring, the dialogue's boring, the show itself looks bland. It really just doesn't have much going for it, quite honestly. Yeah. Next up, we have our first Marvel show, and that is MODOK. Yeah, it's been a busy year for Marvel film, and especially TV. There's been a lot of TV shows for Marvel this year. They're quite scattered here across the board. But MODOK, you know, it's a show that doesn't take itself seriously. It's fully aware of what it is. I really like the character of MODOK. I actually hope we get a cool live-action version of him one day. Yeah, this was just a comedy. It was just kind of a mixed take. It reminded me a bit of the Harley Quinn animated show vibe, where it's aware of what it is. It's aware it's in a pretty over-the-top, silly universe, and it just takes the piss and it runs with it. And on that aspect, it is really good. And I love the style of the show, the way it looks as well. Very robot chickeny. But I just sort of feel like this show, I lost a bit of interest in it, quite frankly. I just don't feel like it had enough steam behind it to keep it interesting. So, yeah, MODOK, it is what it is. It's an okay time, but not something I personally will ever go back to. Next up, we have Season 13 of Doctor Who, The Flux. Jodie Whittaker's final season. And thankfully Chris Chibnall's final season, because my God, has this show gone downhill. So at 6 episodes, it's just 6 episodes, I like 2, and then the rest was just as messy as the previous 2 seasons. I really don't have much to say about this. It was the first continuous story for Doctor Who since a Colin Bacon season. Colin Baker? Yeah, Colin Baker, not Colin Bacon. And yeah, it didn't really work very well because Chris Chibnall clearly isn't a good enough writer to handle this. There were some episodes which were quite focused with villains like the Centaurans and the Weeping Angel ones, and then the others were just a mess. The finale sucked as well, and it fell flat on his face. So yeah, Doctor Who season 13, it exists. Next up, we have another Marvel show. We have Marvel's What If. That's right, the animated show. I really wanted to love this show. I did. I love the idea of it. The idea of it is incredibly cool, and I hope it's something that other universes like DC, Star Wars, Harry Potter, any of them, I hope a lot of them explore this idea. It's a great concept. Unfortunately, it almost feels like Marvel completely rushed it. There were a couple stories I really liked. The double part finale was awesome. The Killmonger becoming Iron Man, sort of, or the Killmonger and Tony Stark friendship one was really cool, because it actually felt like the plot developed. And the second episode, T'Challa becoming Star-Lord, was really cool as well. But the rest of them all felt so rushed. Like, the zombie one should have been one of the coolest episodes of TV this year, but it was so rushed that the dialogue was garbage. The voice acting was not very good, even from some of these actors, which we know are fantastic actors. I think it's because for some of them it was their first time doing voice work. It didn't work great. Some of the imitation as well, because there were some actors who obviously didn't want to show up for this show, or not didn't want to, but maybe couldn't. So they had to get impersonators. Some of that was really rocky as well. And also, I don't know if it's because we literally, right before this, saw The Bad Batch from Star Wars, which, it is down to opinion what you preferred out of these 2 shows, but the animation in that is so impressive. The animation in this kind of felt a bit lazy at times. I really liked the style of it, that it was comic booky, but the lighting I thought looked really cheap at times. So yeah, I did like this show. It was alright, but it was really disappointing. It could have been so much better. And I feel like it's something that Marvel will hopefully improve on. They're normally good at listening to people and improving on their weaker elements. So I really do feel like this is a show where next year, hopefully if we get season 2 next year, but whenever I come back to talk about season 2, I'll actually be able to go, that was a lot better and it'll be a lot higher on the list. But season 1 was very, very average. Next up, we have Falcon and the Winter Soldier, another Marvel show. Yeah, this show was just so forgettable, really, wasn't it? I think it was just kind of, there wasn't really anything too bad about this series. Like, I really don't have any big complaints. I just don't really have any big positives either. It was just kind of boring. I really hate the premise of the show as well, the more I think about it. Like, there was that really nice ending at the end of Endgame where Cap gives Falcon the shield. Falcon's like, I won't let you down, you know. I think he says something like that. I can't remember, you know. And then instantly he's giving it away. And it's like, oh, man. It's like, it would have been nice to see him maybe fail with the shield and then he gets the doubts. But, you know, he's basically just bullshitted to Cap at the end of Endgame now. So I really didn't like that aspect to it. You can tell that there were lots of reshoots and stuff with this one. The plot did feel like it got a bit messy near the end and stuff. Like, they didn't know where to go. There was a whole episode where there was a subplot where they just disappeared to a farm. It's like, guys, the bad guys are still out there and you're chilling on a farm. I mean, that was actually one of my favourite episodes because I really liked just watching Bucky and Falcon talk. But in context of what's happening, it doesn't make any sense. Like, the bad guys are out there. What are we doing? Yeah. The finale was really good, though. I really enjoyed the finale. So, there's definitely some positives to this one. It's just, I think I liked this show a lot more when it happened, when it came out. But now, as we've sat on it, as time's moved on, it's become a little bit forgettable, this show, I think. Next up, we have Star Wars Visions. Yes, the anime-influenced Star Wars show. None of this stuff is canon to the Star Wars universe. It's kind of like Star Wars is What If. It's allowing these anime companies to have fun with this universe. And I think that's a great idea. Again, like What If, I hope other companies do that. Visions, I hope other companies do this. It'd be great to see a Visions version for Marvel or DC or whatever. This show is a complete mixed bag. Every episode feels so different in terms of visuals and the context of what's going on and the style of the writing and the dialogue and the characters. Every episode feels so different. So there's going to be some that are going to be weak, and there are going to be some that are going to be awesome. And that's genuinely the best way to describe the show. There were some episodes that were weak, and there were a couple that were really bad, and then there were a couple that were really awesome. So I don't really have loads to say about this one unless I talk about every episode individually, which I don't want to do, because I think I've reviewed it here on the channel, and me and my good friend Ryan have done a podcast episode on it. So if you want to hear more of us talk about that, or me talk about it, go find those, because, yeah, the show itself overall is a good time, but there's some weak moments to it. Next up, we have The Walking Dead, the main show, of course. So, yeah, I'm forgetting what we had. We had the back half of Series 10? Did we have the back half of Series 10? Which was... Oh, no, we had the 6 episodes, didn't we? We had the 6 episodes, which the only ones they managed to get filmed as COVID was happening, which were complete filler, they were complete backstory, and they were all pretty boring other than, like, 2 of them. Like, the Negan one was good. Then we had the start of Series 11. And I don't know if you can feel the Disney budget coming in here, but the show has improved so much. The first 8 episodes of Series 11 were some of the best Walking Dead episodes we've had since Series 6 or so. It's a huge improvement. And again, I don't know if it's the Disney budget or the Disney overlords making the show better, because I feel like The Walking Dead has become so stale, but it feels like it's got a bit of life here. The characters are more interesting. The plot isn't moving at a snail's pace. It's an improvement. Yeah, it's a good time. I've had a good time with Series 11 so far, and I'm hoping it keeps up the pace and ends on a high. Next up, we have Only Murders in the Building, which is one which I think a lot of people really, really loved. And I did have a really good time with this one. I think it was on like 100% on Rotten Tomatoes for a really long time. Yeah, I love the cast of this. You know, Steve Martin, he's always been someone I really enjoyed watching as a kid, you know, his comedy movies. Interesting seeing Selena Gomez do some acting here. And to be fair, I thought she was really great as well. And the dynamic chemistry between these 3 characters is what carries this show. It's really interesting. And my dad watches loads of murder mystery things, and this kind of feels like a piss take on them. So it was really fun to watch. And yeah, there was a lot of guessing involved, and it was a fun show. I think it's more of an older generation show, though. And I can't see myself ever coming back to rewatch the first season. I'll definitely be there for season 2. But yeah, it was a good show. I really don't have anything bad to say about it, but it's not one I plan on revisiting. Then we have a bit of a controversial one, because I think a lot of people are probably going to put this quite high, but I've got season 2 of The Witcher. Yeah. I have not read the books, I have not played the games, and I think that's purely why I don't love this as much as some people. I did really enjoy it, it was still entertaining, but it didn't blow me away like some people. I thought the action scenes were great, I thought the look of the show was fantastic, the music was incredible, Henry Cavill in this role was brilliant, he's fantastic as Geralt. I just don't know, I just don't know if I don't find the character interactions too interesting, the plot doesn't grip me as well as I think it should. I don't know what it is. It's just personally one of those shows that I do enjoy, obviously. I've put it quite high on my ranking here. It's just not one I'd go out raving about myself, personally. And I do put that down to probably not reading the books or playing the games. So maybe that's something I'll do over 2022. But it's still a good show. I think it just depends where you come from on this one. Then I have the latest Marvel show, Hawkeye. And is this number 10? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh no, this is number 11. So just missing out my top 10. Hawkeye. Yeah, this was a really interesting show. I kind of put this on the level of Ant-Man, where it's just really fun. It's really light-hearted fun. I just had a really good time with this one. I actually think I prefer the start to the series. I feel like episode 4 and 5 were very similar, as in it was just big scenes of dialogue and then a tease at the end. So I remember actually losing interest a little bit there, but then the finale happened, and while the finale didn't blow me away, it was little bit underwhelming, I thought. Overall, it was back to that real good, fun, innocent Marvel style that we get from things like Ant-Man and the first Doctor Strange and stuff. So yeah, I think it was really good there. I think one thing that this showed done incredibly well was side characters. Kate Bishop, I loved. Yelena coming back was fantastic. I will say this though, the deaf girl, I was not really a fan of her character. I just don't really think she had too much interesting stuff to do in this. Hawkeye was really good in it. I wish they just developed him a bit more. I just feel like, you know, with these Marvel shows, like, for instance, Loki, which we'll talk about in a bit, and even Sam in Falcon and the Winter Soldier and Bucky, they all grew throughout their shows. I feel like Hawkeye didn't grow much for the first few episodes. He was just determined to get away from all of this and to get home from his family. And it felt like he didn't want to be in the show. And then at the end, all of a sudden, he was just, I don't know, they just really didn't bother developing him too much. So it's a good show. It's a good show, but I didn't love it as much as I wanted to. But, you know, it's an innocent Marvel fun time. I had a good time with it still. Next up, so this is number 10. Here we go. Number 10 is going to Star Wars The Bad Batch. Now, yeah, this show also very similar to some shows we talked about 3 or 4 spots ago. It's a bit more up and downy. There's some weak moments to it. There's a couple, I wouldn't say bad episodes, but real filler. Like, the definition of filler this show has. However, when this show hit well, it hit through the roof. The opening episode is one of my favourite episodes of TV this year. It reminded me so much of the Clone Wars Series 7 finale. I loved it so much. And there was some other really good episodes sprinkled throughout. The double part of finale I thought was awesome. There's a couple episodes with Cad Bane which were great. So, yeah, I mean, there's a bit of biasness here. The inner Star Wars prequel era fan was going crazy a couple times throughout this show. So, yeah, that's why it's got here. But there's definitely a couple filler episodes in here, there's no doubt. But The Bad Batch, I thought, was an awesome start to what's going to be a pretty damn good Star Wars show, I think. Next up, coming in 9th place is Invincible. That's right, the other show by Robert Kirkman, most famously for doing The Walking Dead. His other famous comic run is, of course, Invincible. Superheroes. It's a bit like The Boys. You know, they're kind of, there's some bad superheroes in this one. But I love the animation style of this. I think that this animation style is a lot better than what If went for. It feels more comic booky. The characters in this were really good as well. The dynamics between, like, the main guy, whose name I've forgotten now, because this show did come out quite early in the year, and the dad, of course, voiced by J.K. Simmons. The voice acting, all round incredible as well. Some really good actors in this show as well, I want to add. But yeah, just really fantastic. The story was really well done. There was some really clever villains as well. Like, I forget what they've done exactly now, but the ones that come through portals, and they go back through their portals, improve, and then come back. And it was like, these are really clever ideas, I think. So I had a lot of fun with Invincible. Yeah, really good show. Coming in 8th place, I think that's where we're at. Yep, 8th place is Midnight Mass, the new one of the new Netflix horror shows that come out this year by the people who done those haunting shows, which I actually haven't watched, admittedly. I really struggled on the first 2 episodes of this, I'm not going to lie. I thought they were really boring. Stuck on an island, load of religious fanatics, and there's something creepy going on. And that's it for 2 episodes. But I do appreciate those 2 episodes more now, because it really did develop the characters, I'll admit. Episode 3, things start going down, and because you know the characters really well, you sort of not understand how people might react to things. And it's only 7 episodes, but the back 5 episodes are awesome. They're really entertaining. Some of the best TV I've watched this year. I think, honestly, if the first 2 episodes were just a bit more interesting, this would have been bumped up another 5 spaces or so. The show takes a bit of time to find its feet, but once it does, it's really good, I think. Next up in, where are we at? 7th place is one of the ones everyone was talking about this year, Squid Games. The Korean show which took the world by storm. People love a bandwagon show, don't they, nowadays? They really do. Squid Games, yeah, was it as good as some people made out? No. This show also had, I'd say, out of its 9 episodes, I think it had about 2 episodes that felt kind of fillerish. Episode 2 especially, I remember sitting through that thinking, I'm not sure I'm going to get through this show. I really don't get it. Admittedly, I was wrong. Episode 3, things pick up. And yeah, there's some real iconic stuff in this show now, you know, which people love. I love. You know, it wouldn't be this high on my list if I didn't. The games themselves were awesome. Your main core group of characters were absolutely fantastic. I thought some of the dialogue, you know, it was really, really good as well. I'd really recommend not watching it dubbed, because the dubbed is not good. Yeah, honestly, I feel like if this show was an episode shorter, it would have been a lot better. Like, cut a load of that episode 2 crap out. Also, there was a bit of a plot twist near the end, which I wasn't a huge fan on. And I must admit, I did find it a little bit predictable at times, this show, but I didn't mind that because it's sort of the way I wanted the plot to go. So, yeah. Squid Games was a good time. So, coming in number 6th place, just missing out my top 5, is going to be Loki, the God of Mischief. Yeah. Oh, this was a really good show. From this point on, I really don't have many complaints about these shows. From this point on, I'm fully committed to these shows. I've actually rewatched Loki as well now. Actually, I've got 1 episode left to go. But yeah, Loki's so good, I'm rewatching it. That's, you know, that's the era of shows we're in now. We're in the really good ones. Who would have thought we'd ever get a show for Loki for a start? Tom Hiddleston is amazing in this role. I'm so happy that Owen Wilson was in this show as well. I love that man. And I think this show was just really fascinating because you had your story of the timekeeper, you know, the TVA, sorry, hunting down this variant of Loki. But then the plot really just takes that and runs with it. It gives you a spiral of, you know, subplots and ideas and things that can happen. And I love that because you don't know where it's going. And it's just fascinating to theorize what could potentially happen. For big Marvel fans, there were loads of Easter eggs as well. Episode 5 was just incredible. Richard E. Grant was in this one, and I got to give that man a shout out because his performance in this was fantastic. And some of the visuals were great as well. The finale, I can understand why some people wouldn't like it. It didn't really feel like much of a Loki finale, but more of a setup to things to come in Season 2 and in the MCU in general. But I really liked it. I thought it was exciting. I thought the visuals were great. And I don't really want to spoil. I know it's been out a while, but I still want to sort of, you know, be careful around this last episode because it is big. But the actor in it done an incredible job as well. Loki was fantastic. But coming in 5th place, just above it, is WandaVision. Yeah, I actually had Loki above WandaVision for a bit. I think when Loki was airing, I was so into it. I loved WandaVision on first watch, but it annoyed me how short the episodes were. And they'd always end on these really good cliffhangers. I'd have to wait another week to see another 20-minute episode. That used to annoy me a bit, or 25 minutes. Some of them were really short. But I binge-watched it all again about 2-3 weeks ago, and it is a lot better to binge this show. But the creativity behind the show is incredible. This is maybe the most creative show on my ranking this year. The whole 50s and then 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s sitcom ideas I thought were brilliant. I don't know how people didn't enjoy this because I thought it was just so fun going back to these decades and not only seeing visually how it looks, but how these characters were acting. Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany gave it their all. They got so into character and they cracked me up. They went from being these really kind of more on the boring side of MCU characters to being so funny and so energetic and so engaging. Also, the side characters, Agatha, incredible. I can't wait to see her own show because she was so good in this. And I really loved the finale. The reason that people didn't like it, I feel, is because they built up in their head, oh, Doctor Strange, Mephisto, blah, blah, blah. And then when it was a simple WandaVision finale, people got disappointed by that. And it's like, I thought WandaVision was an absolute blast. It might be the best MCU thing to come out. I think on a technical level, this is the best Marvel thing to come out this year. Hype level, I want to say Spider-Man. But this WandaVision was fantastic in terms of filmmaking and entertainment. And if you watched it on first watch and you didn't love it, I'd recommend giving it a binge go because it hits different. Next up, coming in 4th place is What We Do in the Shadows Season 3. I love this show. This is like my perfect sense of humour. It's very sarcastic, very on the nose humour. I love that. Big fan of the movie. I watched the first 2 seasons of this show, loved it. So I've been very much looking forward to season 3. I don't think this is as good as the first 2 seasons, not quite. Because there was one episode in here which I did find really fillery. Just one. But then the rest were all really good. And also there's a bit of a plot twist in this season at the end. I don't want to spoil it. But the last episode, it really caught me off guard. I'm not going to lie. I was not expecting it. I didn't really think the show had this in it. I thought it was more of a simple comedy show. But wow, the ending really hit hard. Great show. I got nothing but the nicest thing to say about the show. I really love it. Coming in third place is going to be Season 3 of Sex Education. Yeah, every year I talk about this one, it surprises me that a show about sex education is this good. It seems like a very teenager-y type show on Netflix. So some of you might be going, really? Give it a go. I've told so many people to watch this, who are a lot older than me, including my mum even though I was like, I'm not watching it with you though, but because I said to her, you'll love it. And it is a fantastic show. She loves it now. Everyone I've told to go watch it has fallen in love with it. It's a brilliant show. This is the weakest season though. I mean, it's still got third place though. It's still brilliant. In terms of characters, this show handles characters better than maybe any other show that I've spoken about today. You know, just the main character, Otis, seeing him go on his journey of growing up, coming of age story is just fantastic. I think where this show hits the home run is in the first 3 episodes. I really thought we were in for the best season of this show. But then something happens at the end of season 3, and it felt very forced almost. Like he's in a relationship with someone, and the relationship breaks down, and the person who he was in a relationship with, she just vanishes for the rest of the show. And it feels like a slap in the face to that character, and I felt very sorry for the character because of the way the writers treated her. But, you know, the show itself is still very engaging. The story's still really interesting, and I liked where it went in the end. I just feel a bit bad for this one particular character. Hopefully season 4 they can fix that. But yeah, Sex Education season 3 was great. Okay, coming in second place, just beside my top spot, is going to be ARCANE, League of Legends. I know nothing about League of Legends. Yeah, I'd never ever played a League of Legends game. There's some people in the comments shouting at me now. But this show was fantastic. Hands down the best animated show I've watched this year. The animation was incredible. This is the best animation I've seen this year as well, I think. That's talking series and movies. The animation was gorgeous. The characters were fascinating. I not knowing where any of them go in the games and stuff, I was blown away by the direction some of them went. I thought the world itself was fascinating. The voice acting as well was incredible. I don't have anything but good things to say about this show. In every aspect, this show was amazing. I loved it. But coming in first place is going to be a Netflix original show, Made. Yep. Made is a really, really interesting show, and one which I think a lot of people should watch, about someone who is in an abusive relationship with a kid, and she decides to leave and try and make it on her own. And it's Margaret Qualley, I think her name is. Really good actress. She sort of goes off on her own, and it gave me a lot of like respect for people who go through really tough times like this in their life, because it shows how uneasy it is, and how also easy it is to slip back into the horrible world she'd come from before. And I thought it was fascinating like that. Just the dialogue and the acting alone on this show was incredible. But there's a very poetic feeling towards this show, where the show feels like a round circle in its plot. Like she sort of goes full circle. And I don't really think you get that till, I think it's the end of episode 8 or start of episode 9. Right, like literally the final chapters of this show. You start to realise how this show's gone. And it's really clever, really intelligent. And I think this is the show, this and ARCANE together are like the shows where I just constantly wanted to put the next episode straight on. And it's fascinating, it really is. So yeah, that gets my #1 spot. But yeah, guys, there we go. There's been some absolutely fantastic TV this year. I'm so excited to see what 2022 brings. There's a few shows that are coming out that I'm really looking forward to. We've got The Walking Dead ending. There's another season of Euphoria, which I'm planning to get caught up on for that. More Marvel shows. We got Moon Knight. And of course, we got the big boy next year. We got Kenobi coming. We got a lot of cool Star Wars stuff to talk about next year as well. We got Book of Boba Fett airing at the minute. The first episode was great. So looking forward to seeing how that plays out. There's so much cool TV coming. Hopefully an Arcane season 2 as well. I'm really hoping for that. And yeah. And Barry. More Barry. God. Yeah, I'm so excited for TV next year. There's going to be some real crackers. Hopefully more Westworld as well. But anyway, that's the end of this video, guys. It's New Year's Eve. I hope everyone has a fantastic New Year's Eve and day. Hope you're not too hungover tomorrow, everyone. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for a great year here on the channel. And I hope to see you all in 2022 for more videos. Bye-bye.